Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, February 3rd City Council meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Alderman Glad.
Here.
Alderman McClatchy.
Here.
Alderwoman Bassey. Here. Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderwoman Miller.
Here. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm going to open it up for public comment. This public comment is for those that are not talking about any items on the agenda this evening. So is there anyone here? Everyone that signed in is regarding the school district. Is anyone else in the public that make a public comment that is, once again, for items that are not on the agenda this evening? All right, none. Moving on to the consent agenda, items 5A through 5E. Any items looking to be pulled by the council for separate consideration? See none, I'm looking for a motion to approve 5A through 5E. Alderman McClatchy.
Thank you, Mayor. I will make that motion.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion on these items by City Council? See none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 6A, Addison Steakhouse liquor license. Looking for a motion to approve a Class A liquor license to Addison Steakhouse LLC located at 820 North John Street. His previous liquor license for Addison Steakhouse has had no previous liquor violations, and look forward to their new location here at the McHenry Country Club. The applicant is here this evening for any questions that you may have for him. This time, look for a motion to approve. Alderman Santee.
I'll make a motion to approve item 6A, Addison Steakhouse liquor license as presented.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Miller.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council. Alderwoman Bassey, go ahead.
Hi, could you please come up? I just have a very simple question.
Can you state your name and address for public record, please?
Jonathan Dusher, 2608 Coleman Road.
Thank you. Are you planning on keeping your establishment on 31 open and have two, or just 100% go to the country club?
We are planning on making that type of kind of sports lounge a couple, 2 to 3 months after we open up at the country club. Yeah, we're thinking.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's my only question.
Any other questions? Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, good luck, and just curious when you're going to be open.
We're first week of March is what we're targeting right now.
That's coming up.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
getting soon. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Open up for public comment regarding this item. I see none. Any comments, questions from council? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Yes.
Alderman Cook.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is also for Addison Steakhouse video gaming license, pending the approval of Class A liquor license, which was just approved. Looking for a motion to approve a video gaming license to Addison Steakhouse LLC located at 820 North John Street. Obviously, with the approval of 6A, the applicant is requesting a game license to the country club where they previously also had gaming at this location. Looking for a motion to approve. Alderman Cook.
I'll approve the motion.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Miller.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council. Alderman Glenn.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the fact that I don't have a problem with this tonight because this is just replacing what we basically had over at that establishment in the past. And of course, Addison's been a stellar liquor license holder. But I think for the future, I'm going to be very, very cautious as far as any more new liquor licenses and video gaming licenses. I think it's come to a time where we've got to decide just how much further we want to go with expanding our liquor license and video gaming licenses in this town. That's all I wanted to say.
Alderman Cook.
The country club has gaming in it, correct? Is this adding to the gaming of the country club, or is this?
It's a new license, new liquor license, so they have
Okay.
to, yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council? Open it up for public comment regarding this item. See none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Santi?
Yes.
Congratulations, John. Look forward to having you get moved over there. If you have anything, any needs from the city, let us know, okay? Thanks, John. Next item on the agenda is Bumble Bread revolving loan. Looking for a motion to approve a revolving loan to the Bumble Bread Company LLC in the amount of $30,000 for paying the costs associated to the purchase of equipment utilized for their business operations, open expenses, and working capital. Director Martin, can you go ahead and present this item?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. The Bumble Bread Company was previously located in the Riverwalk Shops area for 2 years. Now they're looking to move to Riverwalk Residences on Green Street at 1114 North Green Street. They produce and sell artisan bread, cinnamon rolls, cookies, muffins, other baked goods. They're looking for a revolving loan, as the mayor had stated, for business operations, capital, and opening expenses. This is really the purpose of the revolving loan is to help businesses such as Bumble Bread, who haven't been around a long time but are trending upward. They have been very successful in the time they've been around, and they need just that little bit to get over the hump to get to the next level. The last revolving loan that was approved was, the council would recall, it was not too long ago, was for My Little Peep Shops, was in the amount of $56,000, a little bit more than that. So if the current balance in the revolving loan fund as of now, without this loan that you're considering tonight, is about $248,675,000. The loan's a 3-year loan. It's about 7.5% interest rate, and the applicant is here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Doug. After nearly 4 years of talking to Bumble Bread, good things take time, but obviously it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't going into these tiny shops and the investment that we made on Miller Point, and to give them the guts to start a brick and mortar business. So this is what it's all about. So like Doug had said, the applicants are here. If you have any questions for them, but I am looking for a motion to approve 6C as presented. Alderman McClatchy.
Thank you. I'll move that we approve Bumble Bread revolving loan.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council on this item? Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the fact that I'm kind of excited to see this happening, and I'm hoping to see a lot more of entrepreneurs growing from these smaller facilities into brick and mortar. And as far as the loan itself, I'm glad to see that he's got a good business plan for this business, and that the $30,000 comes from just so for the taxpayers that they know that it doesn't come from our regular tax money, but from grant money that we got in years back for this specific purpose.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add something. You talk about full circle. They started at the Pearl Street Market, then went to the tiny shops, and now brick and mortar. So that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Miller?
I was just going to echo the same. This certainly speaks to the success of not only the city, but the residents who want to be exemplary in their entrepreneurial spirit. Dan, you're awesome. You started out on Thursday nights, and we had a lot of conversations about you not sleeping much because you are not only doing our Thursday nights, but lots of Thursday nights. So kudos to you, and it's a privilege to support you in your new endeavor. Thank you.
Any other questions by City Council? Open up for public comment regarding this item. See none? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Santi?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Congratulations. Good luck. Next item on the agenda is 6D, 3900 Mercy Drive Cannabis Use Variation. Looking for a motion to approve an ordinance granting a use variation for an adult-use cannabis craft grow facility in conjunction with an adult-use cannabis infusion facility for the property located at 3900 Mercy Drive. Director Palarecki?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Previously, this property was approved for an infusion license through the state so they could process and make gummy bears, basically. The petitioner is asking for a craft grow license. However, they will not be growing in the facility. The craft grow license allows them to handle raw product and process raw product, which they will be bringing in and processing. The building is just not big enough for your typical grow facility, but they do need the license from the local municipality that allows a craft grow so they can handle raw product. So hopefully that all makes sense. Again, conditions were put on this about odor and ventilation from the building. So if there is any time there's a complaint from a neighbor, staff can pretty much shut the business down until they mitigate the odor issue. Staff does not think there is going to be any odor. The odor typically comes from the growing operation and not the processing operation. So if the petitioner was on her way, she was coming from Chicago, so I don't see her in the audience. Hopefully I can answer the questions if you have any.
Thank you. At this time, looking for a motion to approve 6D as presented. Alderwoman Miller?
I'll make the motion to approve 6D as presented, to approve an ordinance granting a use variation for an adult-use cannabis craft grow facility in conjunction with an adult-use cannabis infusion facility for the property at 3900 Mercy Drive.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Zanti?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Is that with that condition?
Yes.
With the condition?
With the condition that planning and zoning applied.
Second. Yeah, second by Sandy. You already said. All right. Any questions, comments by City Council? Alderman Miller?
Have we had any issues out there with them?
Zero. Absolutely none.
I didn't think so, but thank you.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Ross, I guess this one's going to be for you. I just want to confirm that the only difference is the leaves and the stems will now be used instead of just the flower?
Well, they weren't even allowed to use flour before, so
okay.
That's the raw product. So before they brought in I guess bottles of and then infused the product, the gummy bears. Now they will be processing the flower and the stem and everything, and making butters and rubs and all sorts of stuff, but no grow. It's kind of confusing because it is a craft grow license, but they will not be growing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments by council? Open up for public comment. Oh, sorry. Alderman Davis, go ahead.
So does a license, even though they're only technically going to be handling the product right now, does this license allow them to grow in the future? Or is there additional stipulations that they'd have to go through to do that?
I technically would allow them to grow, but they don't have any room. They have absolutely no room. It's like, yeah, there's no room in that building to grow.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Open up for public comment regarding this item. See none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santi?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is the Upper Campus Parking Lot Conditional Use Permit. Looking for a motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for McHenry High School Upper Campus to allow parking lot expansion for the property located at 4716 West Crystal Lake Road. Director Palarecki.
Thank you again, Mayor. So District 156 is looking to add roughly an additional 18 parking spaces to the rear of the admin building at the upper campus. The reason they have approached us at this time is basically for efficiency reasons. They were in the process of redoing their recreational fields behind the high school, and they had an opportunity where they have some extra stone and stuff on site. With the need for an additional parking area, They're taking this opportunity to go ahead and get the city approval to expand their conditional use to add those additional parking spots. They will comply with the landscape ordinance for screening around that parking lot and all other city ordinances. So basically, this is just an adjustment to their conditional use, adding those roughly 18 parking spots. The petitioner is here if there are any questions.
Thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6E as presented. Alderman McClatchy.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Santee.
I will second the motion of 6E.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open it up for comments by City Council. Alderman Gleb.
Yeah, considering it's in my ward and actually in my backyard almost. My concern more than anything else is the fact that when you take a look at the topography on the GIS on the county website, it shows that this property is about a foot taller, higher than some of the condos that are there along the side behind the administration building. Unfortunately, you take a look at where the flow of the water is, and what's on this plat is no longer valid because of the expansion of baseball fields that they did without our approval. So there's been a lot of dirt that's been moved over there, and I guess the first question I got is do we have any kind of an idea where the drainage is going to flow from this parking lot?
We'll let the experts answer that question, but it will be fully engineered and reviewed by the city of McHenry. So
I know, but not by us.
But
we're the ones that are approving it.
But you don't approve engineering, Alderman Glad. You approve a use.
I don't approve like this. I'm sorry. I should have all the facts before I approve something. And I have a lot of questions and concerns. And so therefore, that's why they're stepping up here, and I'm going to ask those questions.
Go ahead.
Now, the first question I got is there curb around this?
Yes, sir.
And how much higher is the property going to be once you pave it?
Actually, we'll be depressing it from the existing grade. We use the excavation of the staging area that was completed during the softball construction. As Ross indicated, the opportunity is there since there's stone set up for soil erosion control for a rock entrance. We're going to make use of that disturbance, and instead of trying to grass it and then take it out later, we have this opportunity to add the parking that the school needs. With respect to your former question, if I may continue, the drainage from this parking lot heads towards softball, towards the area between baseball and the maintenance building, and then eventually into the primary basin that is west of the baseball field, before it then releases from the site.
That's where it's supposed to go.
That's where the topography leads that way.
But like I say, part of my reservation is the fact that this property is higher than some of the condos that are there.
Correct.
And you are raising the property a little bit more with the parking lot.
Not with the parking lot.
It will be a little bit taller. Okay. It will. I mean, maybe it'll settle down over the next 10 or 15 years, but it'll be taller. So that's my reservations with it. It makes it very difficult. I don't have a problem with this parking lot there, other than the drainage, and without a drainage survey to show exactly how that's supposed to work, with what's there now, not what's showing on the county map anymore, I find it very difficult to support. Thank you.
I would just say that we take painstaking time and energy to make sure that we don't have those problems, all right, especially surrounding drainage and water. And we employ our civil engineers, our architects, our construction companies to go over that grade. And we don't cut corners. If we feel that there may be an issue, we just had this conversation or construction meeting, we make sure that we can abate that right away in every project we've done. And I would contend that we've actually improved the sites. Take McCracken, for example. McCracken used to flood constantly. They called it Lake McCracken back there. When we improved that site with our new soccer fields, baseball fields, multi-use fields, that no longer floods. For the good of not just our students and our teachers, but the community surrounding. And I would contend the same thing. That has been engineered by professionals with our construction companies, and we painstakingly make sure that that is not going to infringe on our neighbors. And if we have evidence that there's an issue or a problem, we would correct that, we would change that. But we've gone through the city, we've gone through planning and zoning, we hire the very best architects to make sure that doesn't happen. And we've been proven in multiple projects, right, that we haven't had those issues.
Okay. Mr. McTague, if you take a look at some of your conditional uses that have been approved over the years, let's use the bus lane for instance, and that's the fact that it was approved in, I believe it was, excuse me if I got the exact date wrong, but 2016. And it will tell you that those gates are supposed to be closed from a certain time to a certain time. And yes, it was approved to also add electric cars to go through there, but in no way, shape, or form was it ever changed as far as the time that those gates are supposed to be closed. And I can tell you right now that those gates be interesting whether they even swing or not, or if they just rusted solid open, because they haven't been closed in I don't know how many years. And again, it's one of the things that needed to be done. It's just like all the engineering that you have done over the years. How much have you maintained? You take and you put swales in and everything else when something is engineered. But then, whether it's Mother Nature that fills it in, or you know, you've got your heavy-duty lawn cutting machines that come in there, and slowly but surely, when that ground is a little moist, it's going to depress some of the ground around it, and then those swales are no longer as valid as they were when they first built it. And nobody takes and goes back and looks at it. When's the last time that you guys have even looked at the drainage ditch that's between you and the homes by Kensington that runs all the way out to Boone Creek? And again, these are my reservations. You know,
I understand.
Will that? It's very difficult for me to vote for something like this and then have, for whatever reason, water that winds up into some of these condos, into their property. And what do I say? Yeah, I voted for it without all the facts. I'm sorry.
We don't think that'll happen, and there's no evidence to think that would happen based on the engineering that we've done to make it happen. And honestly, if you know, if there is an issue with something that's happened, I know we've cleared out the reservoir there that kind of filled up, and the city asked us to do that. And we, at our own expense, we try to maintain that to the best of our ability. But if there's some area that needs to be better maintained, please have Ross reach out to us, and I am more than happy to make sure that happens. We want to be good neighbors, right? And with every project we do, whether it's the landscaping, make sure we're far enough away, really controlling access at night where headlights might get in someone's windows, to making sure there isn't going to be water in people's basement, or if we have an issue with a property that we need to maintain, you let Ross know or the city know, you let us know, and we will try our best to correct that. Just like we had when there was issues with filling up the, what is the area behind the swell or the river, what is it that we had to maintain? The what?
In the creek bed.
The creek bed there. And so we do maintain that. We did at our own expense maintain that after there were some concerns with the city and the aldermen. And so that's what we're committed to do, and I promise you here that we'll continue to do that. This is a great opportunity for our district, right? This is a tax savings to all of our constituents, in that we've got this area that would have cost to remediate. We've got the resources and the stone. We know we're growing. That's the beautiful thing about McHenry, right? It's about strategically putting this investment in place now so that we don't remediate that area. Then 4 years later, when we grow and we need it no matter what, we have to come back and have that expense. We can think we can save taxpayers maybe 30% by taking care of this project now. And I can only assure you that we've done everything we can to make sure those neighbors don't have any issues with this parking lot or with any kind of water issues.
All I can say, Mr. McTague, is I will be watching it.
I look forward to it. And if you have any issues, you can call my office anytime. I'd be more than happy to meet you and walk through it. If there's something we can do to make it better, we'll do it.
Any other questions? Alderman Miller?
I certainly don't have the history that Alderman Glab has, but I know when you have come before us before, we have negotiated a good settlement for both of us, a win-win. Sure. And I don't anticipate anything other than that here. You've already got the stone moved in place. Mm-hmm. So again, It's an obvious improvement behind that building,
Sure.
and it will take some of the pressure off that lot.
Yeah.
I guess my question is to Ross, have we had any comments from the condo owners about water issues?
Zero.
Yeah, you know, you're high on the hill there, and it's going to roll down the hill. So, okay, thank you.
Which
Thank
we
you
are accounting for.
Thank you for being
Yeah.
good neighbors.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Any other questions, comments by council? Can you state your name for public record, please?
Sure. Tom Richlick, Gaywald Hamilton Associates.
Thank you.
Right here. Brian McTagg, Superintendent of 156.
Thank you. All right, you two can have a seat.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to open up for public comment regarding this item. Anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment? See none? Council, any questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
No.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is 6F, Duker School Conditional Use Permit. A motion to waive the public hearing application fee for School District 15 and approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for Chauncey, how do you say that? Chauncey? I was going to say Chauncey, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Chauncey H. Duker School to allow an expansion of the parking lot and add a new access drive off Grove Avenue for the property located at 3711 Kane Avenue. Director Pawlowski?
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor just stated, the applicant is District 15. They're looking to expand their conditional use permit to add additional parking stalls behind the Duker School and make a connection to Grove Avenue, which is, for those that you don't know, which is Lillian on the west side of 31 and Grove on the east side of 31. So right now it is a dead end. We have a lift station. The city has a lift station at the dead end. There's currently a gate. So that access point is looking to be opened to help with the flow of traffic. What I want to add drop-off and pickup times. What I want to stress here is during the planning and zoning, we kind of got off track in the conversation surrounded about time saving. These improvements were due to time saving. That's not actually true. The improvements are being made to help facilitate the better protection for children, adults on Kane Avenue. Kane Avenue is a mess right now. Teachers currently park on Kane Avenue, so these additional parking spots in the rear of the building will allow teachers that park in parallel parking spots on Kane Avenue to move into a parking lot, and then children drop off would be down Grove Avenue, through the parking lot, and then out on Oak Avenue. So, again, the school district has been great to work with. Planning and zoning did put some conditions of approval on there, adding landscaping to the west, on the western property line where the parking lot would be added to help reduce headlights and help with safety for traffic not to drive into somebody's home or onto somebody's property. If there's any questions, which I'm sure there will be, the petitioners are here this evening. Again, remember this is more of a safety issue, not a time issue. It's still going to take the same amount of time to drop a kid off and pick a kid up in the afternoon. This is just diverting a lot of the traffic off of Kane Avenue to the rear of the building and additional parking in the rear of the building.
Thank you, Ross. This time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6F as presented. Alderwoman Miller?
I'll make the motion to waive the public hearing application fee for School District 15 and approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit at Chauncey H. Duker School to allow for the expansion of the parking lot and add a new access off of Grove Avenue for the property at 3711 Kane Avenue, subject to the restrictions that were placed on it from planning and zoning.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council? Alderwoman Miller?
I'm actually very happy to see this. As a downtown resident, always on Kane Avenue or around Kane Avenue becomes a nightmare in the morning and at night. And this will allow one more circular drive to let students and parents get in line, basically, to drop off and pick up. And more importantly, it brings them out to a traffic control device, so they're not coming across Kane Avenue without a traffic control device and trying to get back out onto 31. So coming to the intersection of Grove/Lillian and 31, they will have traffic control, which will allow people to flow a little better. So I think this is a no-brainer to add to the lot that's already there and to provide an additional in and out for pickups, drop-offs, and school employees.
Thank you. Alderman Santee?
Thank you. First thing I want to say is I appreciate a couple of the neighbors over there that gave me a call, and we had some good discussions, and I appreciate their time, and I appreciate them coming and voicing their opinions, and in front of the council, also at the zoning meeting. Next group I want to thank is District 15, who took the time this week to sit down with myself and staff members to dig into this a little bit more, and just some stipulations that we discussed, because Grove is a quote-unquote /dead end, no outlet street. It'll continue to be that way because some of the conditions here, number one is the gates will be open for 2 periods of time for the pickup and the delivery and the rotation back there. Also, through the zoning people, we worked on a landscaping, getting more landscaping in there in regards to protecting from vehicles that are going to be closer to definitely one household. And if you've ever been back there, you view that one house where it does come closer to the parking lot, because there is a parking line that's there today that goes northbound on this parking lot, and it butts to the neighbors, but the neighbor's yard, I think they have 2 lots, and there definitely is a lot more space there. So it definitely it's a concern with that, with the one neighbor being that close. And I've spoken to our Public Works Director, Adams, in regards to some signage that we're going to order some signage for cautioning no blocking of driveways into that area. And so, we're going to make that, we're going to take care of that. And in our packet tonight, we had a small note / memo from the chief, and I appreciate him putting in his professional opinions and what he thought of this, and thought it was an appropriate way of moving these vehicles in and out of that area as quickly and as safely as possible. If anybody's ever been on Kane Avenue, when I first got notice from our clerk, Johnson, that some people in the neighborhood wanted to give me a call, I instantly thought it was Kane Avenue. Because I see it myself, as Alderwoman Miller had mentioned, that it's definitely a hazard. You've got cars on both sides, and we need to clear that up, because we've got 500 kids going across, on the buses, in the cars, walking home, and we're trying to alleviate that. So I am comfortable moving forward on this, and I just wanted to express that. I know, by all means, if there's certain points and certain things to bring up, I, would appreciate hearing from the citizens also. But we definitely made some changes and made some adjustments, mostly done in zoning. So nothing really more, just to kind of stipulate things. And we actually looked at the drawings of how they're going to get, their vehicles in and out of. One other thing I wanted to mention is I had a brief discussion with the chief earlier tonight, And we are going to make sure that we have good patrols, or especially in the fall when this starts, to make sure the traffic flow is working. Because, and by all means, I don't want to put words in the District 15 people's mouths, but in our meeting, and if they want to come up for public statement on this, is that they're willing to work with the police department if there is some issues there. So I'll leave it at that. I took up too much of your time tonight. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions by council? Alderman Cook?
It just seems like, look at it, it's a good idea. It just seems like they threw it all together. You mean to tell me they couldn't fine-tune it a little bit more as to where, instead of having straight-in parking, like diagonal parking? I mean, it's a good piece of land, and I know they could use the parking and everything. It just, I don't know. I thought maybe they'd come up with a better idea. A little bit more fine-tuning,
Alderman Santi?
No, Alderman Cook brings up a couple of good points, because I threw three different scenarios at the district in regards to why not do this, why not go there, go this way, and they had good professional answers to me. They weren't trying to song and dance me. So, I do appreciate that, because there's definitely space back there, and I looked at somebody and said, okay, how about right here? Well, that's right next to the playground, and do we want more moving vehicles, in and out that close to, I'd like to keep it away as much as possible. Then also, the other thing that brought up was, and Ross reiterated this to me, is that they designed it where drainage is going to go into the field and then right into that creek from, what the design is today.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and address for public record?
Megan Michael from J. Condon and Associates. Our office is 5415 Business Parkway in Ringwood. I'm a civil engineer.
Thank you.
Jeff Schubert, I'm the Chief Financial Officer for District 15.
So just a little brief description. When you're asking for alternative layouts in the back there are a lot of factors that did go into play with how that was laid out that you may not see on a piece of paper. There's a large floodplain in the back to the east of that parking lot, so we've tried to keep the pavement and filling outside of those floodplain limits. When we look at the potential for, there was discussion at Planning and Zoning, a question came up about, we're eliminating the baseball field to the south, which is a little bit less maintained than the one to the northeast. And they asked, couldn't we swap that? Couldn't we put the parking where that baseball field is up to the northeast? And the reason we don't do it is more operational than anything. Those kids the students at the school use that baseball field for recess, and they use it for gym class. And so we don't want to take kids further away from that building to the field to the south. So that's a logistic of why we chose that way. As far as diagonal parking versus perpendicular parking, if you were to look at the plan, the existing parking to the north, there's actually three aisles of traffic instead of two. So to try to introduce a one-way directional on one lane to our south, it doesn't connect well to the north. It would cause more concern with trying to navigate that parking lot than alleviate any concerns. So what we do at Planning and Zoning was to beef up do the canopy to canopy evergreens. So that'll both shade the headlights and provide a little bit more protection so that a vehicle could not easily get through that landscape and into the neighbor's yard.
Alderman, go ahead.
First thing I want to start out with is the application fee, the waive it. Number one, I am not not in favor of it at all to waive the application fee. Why would we waive an application fee that doesn't just save the money for the residents of McHenry, but then everybody in the school district? Consequently, we are losing money for our residents here in the city by waiving those fees, because not all of it would be paid for by our residents, but the entire school district. So, considering I was at your April 9th meeting when you allocated $70 million for other projects in all the other schools, a lot more than what we have to spend here at the city. And why would we waive any of our fees? The second thing I've got is the fact that Alderman Santee brought up the gate and that there'd be restrictions on the gate. Well, we've had a gate over there at the bus lanes between Alden Terrace and the condos from the high school for up to 2 years, and there's supposed to be regulations as far as opening and closing, and it never gets done. And
So
nobody
I can't-
follows up. The first year or two is fine, and then whether it's as the
I
administration
can speak
change,
to
whatever,
the high school district.
it doesn't get done. So
I can't speak to the high school
that
district.
concerns me as well. As far as Kane Avenue goes, Kane Avenue is one of the wider streets in that area. There is no real residential parking on the north side because you got the ball field there. So there's plenty of room for the teachers to park over there. What has your enrollment increased over the last 5 or 10 years compared to what I've always felt that those two schools were pretty much closer to capacity through a lot of those years, and why is it all of a sudden an issue now?
We have maintained an enrollment at those, but we also start increasing programs, which also adds more staff to those spots. So when we have our pre-K program at Edgebrook, that adds more staff to that school. But go back to your original concern about the gates. I'm not going to address what happens at the high school district, but we do operate a gate at MMS that allows us to have our buses pulling off of Chapel Hill Road, and we do maintain those. We haven't had an issue yet of closing those every day, so we have a good history of maintaining those gates when we have responsibility to do so. So I just wanted to, address that concern. As far as Kane goes, there is two sides of parking on that street, and we have buses going down and parents coming down. It congests a lot, and you can't get an emergency vehicle through there during those times of days when it's just congested. So our goal is to stop having our teachers park on Kane, get them in the rear behind Duker, and then you can have Edgebrook staff park in Edgebrook, and Duker park behind Duker, and have that ease of flow for traffic back onto the streets of McHenry.
Okay. What about the stacking? How many cars get stacked, or how many buses get stacked from where the drop-off is to the entrance off of Grove?
So there will be no buses behind there. The buses
I'm sorry?
come to the front. There will be no buses in the rear of Duker. The buses come
Not
to
parking.
the front.
How many? I'm going to ask Ross this because he knows what I'm talking about. It's stacking.
Right, the buses drop off in the front of the school on Kane.
Okay, so they're not going to come in.
No,
off
the
Grove.
back is only student drop off, student drop off.
Okay. And how many cars can be stacked there?
There was it was in, I think it was in the packet. Do you have that?
It's a diagram. The new layout will allow 12 additional cars to be stacked on our property and removed from the roadway.
So 12 additional with the new layout.
Okay, so we're not going to look at it backing up at all on Grove?
I mean, there's always a potential, to back up there, but as Alderman Santee said, we're going to do our best. Right now, it backs up down Oak Street, across Center Street, down Oak, and then down Center, north and south. So, I mean, at this point right now, you have that same issue that you could potentially have. But if we add additional signage that says do not block driveways, there's no way around it at any of our schools. All of our schools have this same issue. This, again, is going to help alleviate the congestion on Kane Street, and that's the number one reason why they're requesting it.
Well, I don't know. I've talked to a couple officers on this, bumping into them, and some of them didn't seem to think that there was much of a problem over there, that the chief feels that there's, as far as safety and everything. So, I don't know. I hear different things. So all I'm getting at is what has changed over the last 5 or 10 years that all of a sudden we've got to punch through there. That kind of concerns me. And like I say, you're not going to get my vote if we're going to waive application fees, which is waiving fees that everybody outside the city as well as inside the city are paying in District 15, because then that hurts just the residents of the city.
Chief? Thank you, Mayor.
First of all, I would not say there was a problem if I didn't feel there was a problem. So there's a unique situation that goes on Kane Avenue that's different than every other location in town. Is there's two schools on the same block. And if you look at all our schools in town, you will all know that we have traffic congestion problems during drop-off and pickup each day. What compounds this is these are two schools on the same block. So we have a set of buses that are going to Duke. We have a set of buses that are going to the school next door. We have a set of parents that are dropping off and picking up kids at one school, and a set of parents that are dropping off kids at another school. We have inadequate parking spaces for all the staff on the actual property. So they're utilizing the parking spaces on both sides of Kane Avenue between Green Street and Center. What that does is it creates a vacuum in there between cars, buses, and then kids trying to walk in between all these vehicles and get into the school. We have parents that choose to drop their kids off in the front of the school because it's too difficult for them to navigate to the back of the school under the current traffic pattern. We have more than one problem that we need to address on Kane Avenue. So make no mistake, there is a traffic problem on Kane Avenue, and I would challenge that to anybody. This is just one step. Quite frankly, we need to be looking down the road what the school will do for the school next door to try to address some of the traffic problems there too. But this is a really good start. This takes teachers and gets them safely parked into the parking lot and off the roadway, which cancels blind spots for when people are crossing the roadway. This is how accidents happen with pedestrians, children trying to get into school. By adding the flow pattern to the back, it does add traffic to Grove, and it's already traffic that's on Oak. But what it does is it creates a smoother traffic pattern. We see backups right now at Oak and Center because everything's coming in on Oak and going out on Oak. And so what this does is not only allows additional cars to stack on the lot, but it allows that flow to just move better, which allows for more open space, which increases roadway safety. So I couldn't be more firm on my stance that this is a good option for us to decrease some of the ongoing issues. I get emails and complaints on a regular basis about what's going on in Kane Avenue. I've sent police officers there to mitigate it. Every time school year starts, the superintendent and I have some conversation reference Kane Avenue and how are we mitigating this, because we just have so much congestion. I would encourage anybody, if they want to go during the morning, to look at it. It would really give you a good idea. In the afternoon, it gets a little bit worse because parents come early to pick up kids. They don't necessarily come early to drop them off, but I assure you they show up 30 minutes before school gets out to pick them up. What that does is create more stack issues and more traffic congestion issues on the roadway during that time frame. This is a growing trend that we are seeing through all our schools. Parent drop-off pickup, or when a student drop-off pick up. This is the future of schools. Ever since COVID, we just see more parents doing this. Less students using the bus. It creates more traffic issues for us. So yes, I'm totally in support of this request.
Thank you. Josh?
I just wanted to add a thing. I'm Josh Wright, Superintendent, District 15. I want to echo what Chief Burke said. We do have conversations at the beginning of every year, and I believe that one year we actually had the police department flew a drone above to see if there's something that we were missing. And the fact is we're just landlocked, and so we had to get creative and look outside the box. The other thing about Kane, and I think it's important to mention, is on Kane, Edgebrook School houses our pre-K program. We're an elementary school district, so we take care of those little kids. At Edgebrook, in the pre-K program alone, there are about 200 3-year-olds that come to school. So that's our responsibility. And so that's concerning to us when we have a lot of traffic on Kane and we have near misses here and there. That's concerning to us. So that's the primary reason why we got to this point.
Thank you, Josh. Any other questions? Alderman Miller.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, again, not my ward, but my neighborhood. Because of the pre-K, you have a lot of parents, and again, on Kane Avenue, you have a sidewalk, a parkway, parking, a lane of traffic, some parking, and McCracken. And both of these schools are for little people. So the parent pulls up, puts the emergency flashers on, gets out of their vehicle, gets the little person out of the back seat, car seat, walks them to the sidewalk where there's a crossing guard or a helper out on the sidewalk. That car is stuck there until that adult gets back in it and moves it, which causes a huge backup. And you have 300 of these little people, plus the 400 in both of those buildings of regular students. So anybody in my world that's smaller than 8, I'm walking to the sidewalk. So the reoccurrence of park the car, put the emergency flasher on, hop out on Kane Avenue, it is all the time during drop-off and pickup. Same with the pickup, because there's cars between the sidewalk, parkway, parked cars. I don't want my little person navigating their own way to the back seat. So providing them an opportunity to have another back door entry with, I'm sure you're going to have safety patrol people back there to grab those students as they come off. I think it just gives parents that sense of we're not on Kane Avenue with all that other traffic. I think it's a great idea. It doesn't add that much parking, and it's going to be just literally a half an hour in the morning, and maybe 40 to 45 minutes is what I experience in the afternoon, because to your point, parents get there early. There's kind of like a staging who gets there first thing. I think they bring snacks. But there are people there 20 minutes before the bell rings just to be first in line, and who knows, maybe they have another appointment afterwards. I think it will relieve a lot of the pressure down there.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alderman Massey?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of residents today in the neighborhood, and the new entrance and the expanded parking is just way too close to the existing homes, and I'm concerned about them, and it is for that reason that I cannot support this, the way you've got it laid out now. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Alderman Cook?
Can you give me the answer, why are we waiving the public hearing application fee?
This was a request by District 15. Jeff?
Yeah, so we put that request in. We're two taxing bodies, so we viewed it as a savings to taxpayer. As if our taxpayers are paying that fee, it's a taxpayer that you guys are receiving it. So we looked at it as a wash, as a cost neutral for our taxpayers and your taxpayers. So we all have the same taxpayers. So two government bodies, we were just wanting to save our taxpayers money and get relief for those fees. We had 3 fees that we paid tonight for those applications.
How much is the fee?
$950 a piece.
3 at $950. So 27, I'm not the...
Up in the bucket?
2850. 2850 total.
Really?
Any other questions? What? Who are you pointing at? Yeah, Alderman Santi, go ahead.
Sorry about that. My apologies. I had a discussion before the meeting with Jeff about the fees. I didn't realize that because they're coming forth with 3 at one meeting, that it's the 950 times 3. I am open. I only second the motion about the possibility of putting some of that into this, possibly putting the fees back in.
Hold on. So my recommendation, if this is the case, so you did one planning and zoning meeting for all 3 items. So my suggestion is item 6H, because they're asking for a fee reduction from that as well, that we keep 1 to offset the 3 and waive the 2. So we'd waive 6F and 6E, and then we'd be 950 for H. So 6H, I suggest, if that's a concern, we would charge them the 950, which was 1 public hearing meeting, which is normally what it would be. They just had 3 items on that one public hearing. So if that's okay versus going back and changing it, if you're all right with that.
Just add to that, Mayor, we do work with other government other government bodies that we do waive our fees for them. So our rental fees, we waive our rental fees when we rent to other taxing bodies. So it's not uncustomary that we're asking for this. So it wasn't an on-the-topic request. So we do this for other government bodies that we do work with.
And I agree. We're partners. We work together on a regular basis. There's things that we go to you for. There's things that you guys go to us for. It's all about relationships. I totally agree. But if we're going to be losing votes over this, I don't want that to happen. So, go ahead, Alderman Cook.
When the vote came in for the gravel pit over there on Chapel Hill Road, was the city charged for renting the high school there to have our meeting for all of that?
No. We have a partnership with both school districts just like this. I mean, we should be working with them. You know. So that's my opinion.
So is there any other discussion on the substance? Otherwise, I'll address how to. Okay.
I have just one thing to add, and this is my mistake for not saying it in the beginning, but if this does pass this evening, District 15 will need to go and vacate a portion of our right-of-way in order to make this project happen. If you look at the packet, you'll see where the right-of-way extends in towards the ball fields. So it's I don't know, it's the full depth of a lot. It's 132 feet of right-of-way that will need to be vacated so that their parking lot falls on their property and not on a city right-of-way. So we did not want to make them do that, obviously, up front, because those are costs that they would incur, and if the city council decided they didn't want to move forward with this project, it would mean nothing. So they are fully aware of that. I just wanted to make that note to council.
So that would be the city vacating.
The city would vacate. They would do all the paperwork and pay for everything, and then it would come back to council, and council would vacate that small portion of right-of-way.
Okay. Any questions for District 15 at this moment? See none? Thank you very much. You can have a seat. I'm going to open up for public comment. Haley Pellat? Did I say that correctly? Oh, geez. Sorry. Can you please state your name and address for public record?
Haley Platt, 3804 Grove Avenue, McHenry.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm the resident on Grove Avenue that this parking lot would be very close to. I'd also like to say that I have 3 kids, one in high school, one at Duker, and one in the pre-K program at Edgebrook. First, I want to acknowledge that I fully understand the need for increased parking, enhance safety, and reduce congestion. However, I must express that my belief that the current plan does not effectively address these concerns, particularly for the residents of Grove Avenue. The proposal as it stands seems to have been designed without sufficient consideration of the impact it'll have on those of us who live here. First, I'd like to address a plan to extend Grove Avenue to provide one-way access into the parking lot for student pickup. My question is, what safety and congestion issues are we solving here? There was a lot of talk about the congestion on Kane Avenue, which I agree that there is an issue. Like I said, I have a pre-K kid, so I'm on Kane Avenue to pick him up and drop him off. And there's very limited parking because I think that the parking spaces on Kane Avenue are being used by teachers. However, the congestion on Kane Avenue, especially when it's time to pick the kids up from school, that has nothing to do with the Duker pickup line. The Duker pickup line is in back of the school. The congestion is from the Duker buses, the Edgebrook buses, and the parents who are picking up Edgebrook kids. So I'm a little confused on this argument. Anywho, for years, my neighbors and I have observed no safety problems with the current student pickup routine. I've had 2 children attend this school and both been picked up without issue. As a matter of fact, I would argue that Duker School currently has one of the smoothest pickup line systems I've ever witnessed. When it comes to congestion, moving traffic from Oak to Grove Avenue doesn't solve the problem. It simply shifts it one street over. In fact, it creates a plethora of new and much worse problems for the neighborhood. The reality is that Grove Avenue has fewer access points from other streets for a pickup line. You can clearly see this on a map. You cannot control where traffic comes from to enter the pickup line. This will very likely lead to traffic backups on Route 31, which is a much bigger problem. Additionally, Grove Avenue has more residents, meaning traffic entering the parking lot will obstruct driveways and cause even more congestion. Not to mention, Grove Avenue is the only accessible street for the city of McHenry to get to the water pump next to Mrs. Stone's house. My argument here is that the extension of Grove Avenue into the parking lot will create more issues. I'd also like to add, if you look at a map, right now, currently, the pickup line, they enter Oak Avenue and they go into the parking lot, they make a loop. And there's just, like I said, there's more streets feeding into Oak. If you move it to Grove Avenue, if you get traffic backed up past that stop sign, now you're backing up Grove Avenue, which is the only street in the neighborhood with a stoplight. So I could see that being a problem. Now moving on to the proposed gate access from Grove Avenue into the parking lot. If the extension is implemented, I'm asking you to ensure that access is strictly controlled. I am hoping it will only be opened during student drop-off and pickup and in between. There should be a clear and visible sign indicating that the gate will close immediately after pickup. And please, no access during football games. The congestion caused by football traffic is not a problem on Oak Street, it's a problem elsewhere in the neighborhood with parking and such. Bringing football traffic down Grove Avenue would put our safety at risk, as it would bring in unfamiliar drivers and the increased likelihood of dangerous behavior, especially so close to my house. I also ask that the gate remain locked to prevent unauthorized access, especially during evening hours when the parking lot may be used for non-school related activities. We need to be sure that our neighborhood and my home remains safe and secure. On the matter of the parking lot expansion, I fully understand that the district is seeking to improve parking. However, I have serious concerns about how close this expansion will be to my home. The new parking lot will be just 10 feet from my property line, directly adjacent to my children's bedrooms. We're talking about cars driving 21 feet from where my children lay their heads at night. And I'd also like to mention, and you could see in the new proposed plan, that this new parking lot will go from the very back of my property line to the very front. My entire property line will be a parking lot. This is not just an inconvenience, it's a genuine safety and privacy concern. Reckless driving in the parking lot occurs frequently and will likely increase once the lot is expanded. As a matter of fact, less than 2 weeks ago, on January 22nd, a night that it snowed, 3 rounds of reckless driving occurred in the parking lot next to my house in a matter of a couple of hours. I called the police and I also have video proof of this. While the parking lot is already uncomfortably close to my property, the prospect of it being only 20 feet from my home is deeply alarming. While you may be thinking in terms of school hours, I have to live with this 24/7. I know that the district has proposed planting trees and adding some greenery, but I have concerns about how long it will take for those trees to grow to a size that offers real protection. I want to be clear here, I like the proposed canopy to canopy tree landscape, but until it can stop a car from hitting my house, I believe there should be concrete bollards along the parking lot. Please consider more cameras and signs to stop this behavior on your property. I also recommend diagonal parking spaces, only on the very west end of the lot to reduce congestion, and also increase space between the lot and our homes and improve the flow of traffic. I will share with you a visual so you know what I'm requesting. In conclusion, I'm not here to oppose progress. I understand that development and growth are necessary at times, but I ask the council to consider the human impact of this development and to consider the residents and come up with a solution that truly takes our safety and privacy and quality of life into account. Thank you. I just wanted to share a visual.
Next, Marcy and Rich.
I'm just going to come up. I'm Marcy.
Okay. Please state your name and address for public record.
Yeah, it's Marcy Holroyd, and I'm at 951 Interlock, but that's in Algonquin. I'm the grandmother, but I spent a lot of time up there. Okay, so I'm the grandmother of the two little boys whose headboard will be 20 feet from car bumpers and truck bumpers. I don't believe the risk-reward benefit for those few spaces by the home is worth the liability the district will inherit with this project. Car-sitting houses is not an irrational fear, after all the many cases we've seen in the news just in the past year alone here in McHenry County. Please have consideration of the tax-paying residents' home value decline, aesthetic disruption, and above all else, the safety of the children living there. Also, I noted there were no resident complaints on the high school project, but also the setback there is 25 feet, and I understand here it's considered high-density city lots, so it's only the 10 feet. And I hardly consider this a big city, as most residents moved here for exactly the opposite experience. Also, would you commit, in the case that you proceed as planned, to consider reevaluating the Grove access gate if it does end up being more of a problem than it was before you started it? I mean, is that something you would look at?
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, all parents and grandparents want to help our children to enjoy a safe and happy life. This situation is out of our hands because what you propose is technically legal, of course. Our pleas are purely emotional and morally based on doing the right thing by the very tax-paying homeowners that you represent. And that's all I had. I did have one other question, though, regarding we're getting 31 more spaces back there, and I know the teachers do park on Kane. You know, how many teachers park on Kane?
I'll have them answer that when they come up.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, like 10, 20, 30, and then also if you're just allowing them to park back there, you're not directing them to park back there. So they could still park on Kane because it's closer to the door than parking in her.
We'll verify that.
That's the only question I had.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy and Dave. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Please state your name and address for public record.
Kathy Podborny, 612 Center Street. So I am next to Haley's house. What she said was perfect. It hit every base. It was very truthful. It was very honest. All I'm asking is that you respect us as citizens and as taxpayers in this area. We moved there in 2013 specifically because it was a dead-end street. The serenity, the beauty, wholeheartedly, I can look at each one of you in the face and honestly, respectfully say, if it was you living there, if these were your homes, I think you would have many, many concerns exactly like you. Again, the safety. The list goes on and on. A tree, an evergreen tree, is not going to stop a car. It's just not going to happen. Living there for all these years, we have many car experiences, as Haley had stated, with them going through property, going back there, using their cars as a racetrack back there. The gate is a huge, huge concern for us. Who's going to maintain it? Do we have guarantee that this gate is actually going to be closed? I can just not reiterate enough. The traffic that's going on in Kane, what you are proposing and what you want to move forward with is not going to solve the problem. What it's going to do is now make it our problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right. Josh or Jeff, or whoever wants to answer this. Oh, your name's not on here. I apologize. Nope, go ahead. Come on up. Sorry. Please state your name and address for public record, okay?
Sure. So my name is Jill Stone. I'm also a Grove resident. I live on the last home as you're proposing that these cars all pull in. And I can definitely say this is not a definite idea that is good by any means. I have lived in that house since I was 5 years old. and that was in 1948. And one of the main reasons we bought the home from George and Kathy Alveri, who was a doctor here in McHenry, is because of the quiet and the peace. And we've lived in that, with that field. There is a little baseball field which they're talking about next to our home, and there are a lot of little tiny children that play there a lot. And they're going to take that field out. They're just going to remove that whole field. And for what reason? So 12 teachers can park in that lot? That makes no sense that you would remove that field. There is a lift station in the back of our property, over a little bit to the left of our land, and there is a gate there right now. And I'm telling you that that gate does not get closed. It's open half the time. So trucks come in to service that water, and they leave the gate open. The snowplows come in, they leave the gate open. They do not close it when they're done. So that gate is a huge issue for all of us living on Grove Avenue. And there's a lot of cars that do not realize it's a dead-end street and come rushing down that street and have to stop and pull in our driveways and turn around at nighttime. So with another gate, or we have not even seen a diagram of this gate. So the architects have not shown us, the residents on Grove Avenue, any pictures of anything. We've not seen anything. I've talked to Mr. Santee twice about different ideas, different options. I'm very disappointed that you would even consider doing this type of thing. Hayes little boys play out in their yard, and they're 3 and 7. They play out in that yard, and you would allow cars rushing down that street to be by their bedrooms? I mean, it's not going to solve anything, just like Kathy said. It's just going to change the problem from Oak over to Grove. And you're going to have the same backup, the same problem, and you're going to be disrupting 4 homes on Grove, where there is 1 home on Oak. And there's 4 homes on Grove that you're going to be on the driveways. And I just don't believe that is going to be able to be closed, and people not realizing that that's going to be closed, that gate. So I'm very much against that, and so that's my ideas.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? Okay, thank you. All right, Josh and Jeff. So obviously there's some concerns with the trees, the gate. When do you plan on locking that gate, or do you plan on locking that gate?
So we'll be responsible for that gate. We'll open it during when our custodians are there for PM and AM drop-off, and then once those operations are over, they would lock those for the remainder of the day. Now, we do have parents that come to the front of the building. That's where we market and advertise where it's visitor and parent parking is in the front of the building. So the rear of the building, that's going to be it's staff parking only. So there shouldn't be very much traffic
during the day. So
and then to address the other one about the ballards, we did offer to put in concrete ballards during zoning and planning.
Okay.
But we ended up agreeing to the canopies.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously, in the trees, I don't know nothing about landscaping. I'm not a landscaper nor a professional tree person. But what size trees, if you do those trees, what size trees are they? Are they big enough? Are you putting go ahead.
Cody's going to get us some more information, but his suggestion, what came to us so far, was that canopy to canopy is that the arborvitae that they plant have to be at least 6 feet tall at the time of planting, and obviously the canopy to canopy means that it's going to be a solid line of evergreen through there.
Okay. All right. And on a 6-foot tree, what's the diameter of? Never mind.
I am not a landscape architect. I apologize.
I don't know if it can even go. Doesn't matter. Okay.
And just to refresh, at planning and zoning, we did talk about parking bumper or concrete bollards. The bollards would be like up front here, that 3 to 4 foot tall cylinder, and it was staff's recommendation to go the landscaping way. The district does not object to any of those improvements.
Okay. And obviously, if you have the ballards, Obviously, it doesn't screen lights and the parking from the homeowners there as well, so.
Even if the bollards were selected as the appropriate measure here, there's still landscaping required that would block those headlights.
Perfect.
Mayor, excuse me. I just wanted to clarify one thing, just because I've got experience with the arborvitaes. I've had them in my yard for years.
Go ahead.
At a 6 foot, you're looking at about 2 inches, 2 to 2.25 inch thickness.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And just to mention too, and I know Mr. Schubert mentioned it, but we do have a proven track record with gates in District 15. And he talked about it. It's on Chapel Hill Road. And there's just a part of the routine for our custodians that in the morning they go out, they unlock the gate, buses come in. As soon as bus traffic's over, it's locked, and they do it again at the end of the day. As I keep mentioning, we're an elementary school district, so efforts for safety are super important to us. Those types of things are critical. I can appreciate the feedback from the community members here too, and know that they're parents of ours as well. Again, this stemmed from trying to address concerns that are on Kane, that have been historically things that we've tried to figure out. We also have cameras in our buildings, and we wanted to mention that too. So our buildings have 360-degree exterior views. So if there are issues taking place in parking lots after hours, people can just call us up. We can access our cameras, and we can review that footage and share that with the local police as well. So,
how many in this parking spaces? One of the questions was how many teachers will be parking back there? Do you expect all those spots to be filled with all teachers?
Yes, we would direct all staff to use, all Duker staff to use the rear park behind Duker, and all the Edgebrook staff to use the Edgebrook side.
Okay. So for conditional use, as far as the gate, I think that's a major concern for these homeowners. What time frame? Would it be a 6:30, 7 o'clock? I don't know.
I don't want to put a time on there, but it would be once
the morning and the evening.
If we ever change bell times, right? So I don't want to put a set time in there to have to come back if we change bell times, but it would be following drop off and prior to pickup.
So immediately following drop off and immediately following pickup. Okay. And closed during the day and closed on weekends.
Weekends, sure. Yep.
Okay. All right. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, we ready to talk?
Yeah. You.
It's a good question.
All right. We'll go ahead and get the council. Alderman Cook, go ahead. You have a question? Alderwoman Miller.
I have two questions. You own the gate, we don't own the gate?
I believe you gate.
Currently, we own the gate. That's out there.
Because it's on our right-of-way, right?
Correct.
Because it's on our right-of-way.
Correct.
And are we relinquishing ownership of that once they adjust the right-of-way?
That's a discussion that has to be had. If council decides that a gate is required, then we have to make it a condition, and then they have to provide a gate. Now, if that's the gate that's currently there, and the council says that's okay to relinquish that gate, then that's what we do. If we want to take our gate and make them put their own gate in, we can do that as well. There was a question between Public Works and Community Development about that. How do we stop traffic from parking in a lift station once that opens up? Because they could come around and then just park at the lift station because there's no gate stopping them. So the question arose is, do we need two gates? So we may need our gate, and they may need an additional gate.
That was what was going through my head, is who owns the gate and how do we control getting back to the lift station? And then I wanted to go back to the last question about the small field. You had mentioned we're not eliminating the small field.
No, we are eliminating the small field. The question at the planning and zoning was, why didn't we keep that field and eliminate the one that's closer to the building? So my explanation was logistically and operationally and safety for the kids at the school, we're keeping the field closer to the building. The field that's down by our original intention, in all honesty, our first design, we were just shifting that field to the south. However, when we got into the stormwater design on the property, there's so much floodplain out there that we could then no longer keep that field and provide the necessary stormwater detention we needed for the improvements without having major impacts to the floodplain. So our second choice was to eliminate that small field.
So the little field that's on the southwest side
Yes,
of Grove Avenue.
closest to the lift station
Got it.
will be removed.
Would be eliminated, but the big field,
Will remain.
which is on the northeast side, would still remain.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if a gate is needed, which I'm guessing that's what we're getting out of this, but the gate, so we would probably end up taking our gate and putting that gate for, is that correct?
Yeah, we would have to relocate this one across the lift station drive to keep parents and vehicles during pickup from using that as overflow parking so that we have access to that. So it would probably have to be an additional gate, you know, if you imagine Grove extending to the east on each side.
Okay. All right, so we're clear on that. Alderman Davis?
I just had a few comments. So I think we talked about the trees.
Can you turn your mic on?
We've talked about the trees, that my request would be that they be large enough to at least add some protection. I know it'd be an extra cost, but if safety is the biggest concern, and it's literally 20 feet from the house, could we put up a guardrail? You know, because that's really what's going to stop that car, right? You know, is a tree, probably, but if somebody's jacking around in there and somebody is, you know, to take out one of those trees is not be, you know, very difficult realistically. So that would be a suggestion. For the gates, I guess this is more for the pump station. Have we talked, if that's an issue where being left open and that's going in, can we add, and I know this is a bigger cost, but an automated gate with swipe card access or something like that, so those guys have to go in and out, it automatically closes. There's somebody not doing that. I don't know if that's been talked about, but just a suggestion. And then again, if you guys are going to guarantee that that's going to be closed for this new right-of-way, that would be my other concern too. But the one question I have is, obviously, my kids have gone to Edgebrook and Duker, and still do, some of them. So I agree there's an issue with the traffic, but why are we coming in on Grove and then exiting on Oak? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes. So
why wouldn't we do it the other way? Only because we know it's going to get backed up, at least.
It's because of the safety when you drop the kids off in the parking lot. So when you're dropping the kids off in the parking lot, you want them to be exiting the vehicle on the passenger side of the vehicle. And so when you come off of Grove and you're driving to the north, that's where you're exiting the vehicle to the building. So if you come in off, right now, if you come in off of Oak, they come in, they turn south, and then they make that northerly turn so that the passenger side is adjacent to the building. And that's where the staff is there to help the kids get out of the car. So if we were to come in off of Oak and continue and try and make the loop to Grove, we have the kids exiting the vehicle on the parking lot side, and they have to cross in front of the vehicle, so we want to avoid that.
Yeah, but I think to me, that's a better solution, because you have people their day, right?
If you talk to staff, it's never the best solution to a child exit a vehicle and cross in front of or behind a vehicle.
Today, though, when you drop off at Duker, you have somebody there, there's multiple people there that are taking the kids and walking them across, right? So if you have that line, they'll walk those kids through, but I think more concern is that your Grove's going to get backed up all the way to 31, and you know people are going to block 31 and block that light, and it doesn't matter where it is, people are going to do it. At least it gives you a little bit of reprieve. I mean, even if you had to change the way you...
Right now, they do come on Oak, loop around through the parking lot, and drop off so it's the student side to the building.
They don't cross cars.
Right, they don't walk in front.
I'm saying in the front. If you're going in, if you're going in the front of Duker and drop off there, because we do it all the time, so
And
you can't say that you don't do it, because it happens.
I think that's what we're trying to fix as well, too, because we see those situations as being dangerous.
Right.
And we do have the drop off in front of Duker is for Edgebrook. So those the first lanes of cars, that's for Edgebrook parking, that's for Edgebrook students. So the students only rear of Duker are for Duker students only. So they don't walk through the parking lot to get to Edgebrook. Those parking lot in Duker and Edgebrook is just for Edgebrook kids, and they go...
Same district. To me, it's half of one,
Right, but
6 of one, half dozen of another, but the point is that
we do our best to make sure that all the students exiting the cars are from the passenger side, and the aides that are helping the students get into the building so they're not walking in front of cars.
Right. Yeah, that's my biggest concern, because I think that's just going to cause more of an issue on growth if we could figure out a way to drop them off. I get your concern on the side. It makes more sense, but, okay. Those are the questions.
Any other questions? Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to go back to the berm, and I just encourage you to really build that up. Okay? I don't know how far the trees are going to be apart, but if you could double that, it's going to cost a few more dollars, but, you know, I think it's warranted, so.
Okay. Alderman Santee.
Just want to make sure that the other Alderman questions was answered correctly or efficiently. You were comfortable with doing the landscaping, and then also he brought up guardrails.
The concrete ballards, yes. I mean, they have to go back to the architects to figure out what a guardrail would look. I don't know if a guardrail or the ballards would do the same thing. So I can't speak to that, but that's something we can talk to.
So, actually, it goes back to you, goes back to you, Alderman Davis. You brought up the guardrail thing now. Are you looking at comfortable with landscaping and ballards, or and ballards? Because, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the ballards are going to be any more or less safe than a guardrail. Guardrail's just complete, whereas ballards are in, but, I mean...
Well, they're...
One or the other.
It's probably, I'm guessing they're
I would
probably similar cost by the time you have to put in that many ballards.
Yeah. No, I think the guardrail would be sufficient, and then if we could still, you guys are amenable to. Right, no, they should be at a stop condition pulling into the parking space, but you always want to err on the side of caution, so adding that guardrail in front, parking lot, guardrail, landscaping, neighbor's yard.
Any other questions by council? Ross, go ahead.
Just going back to Alderman Davis's thing about flipping that, I think we're gaining 12 stacking spaces by coming in off of Grove Street as opposed to Oak. I, too, as well, drop my kid off there every morning. Mornings aren't really an issue because people come, they drop their kid, and they're gone. It's the afternoons when they show up an hour before the bell rings, and they stack up. I have picked my kid. I don't pick my kid up every day from there, but when I do, I've been there pretty late, and I've only been stacked to the end of Oak Avenue, and one time on the other side of Center Street. So I just don't see. I know the concern. I just don't see how the stacking would make it out to Route 31. So that's just my opinion from dropping my kid off.
Alderman Santee?
And once again, discussion that we had earlier in the week, where when cars would be coming in and going down to Grove, you will highly recommend that all parents are coming down Center Street to get to Grove to make that left there, and avoiding stacking that would happen on Grove going westbound towards the stoplight.
So we do have maps that we hand out to staff and parents about how we want them to stage for pickup and drop off. So it would just be another amendment that we send out to our parents about reminders. This is how we want traffic to flow in that area. Not use Kane, try to use Center. But again, we can ask parents to do the right thing, but it's dependent on them. Like, we can't control what's happening in their lives, that they have to get to the school early, get their kids, whatever. There's always a reason for everything, but we do our best to demonstrate, to illustrate for the parents about how we want the traffic flow to work in those streets.
if I may follow up. And then to that point, discuss with Chief Burke is, like what I said, is that, yes, they patrol every neighborhood, of course, but to focus, on that area for the first, couple of weeks, 4 weeks of the year to make sure they are following the instructions that are coming from the schools, because if we have knowledge of those, if he's got the rules and recommendations from the schools, then at least, I don't know how this would work, but then the police department would work along with the district in regards to, hey, let's keep an eye on that and make sure we're not getting people hanging out on Grove and trying to sneak through just cutting through on the line. Because I do hear that some parents do like to hang around 15, 20 minutes earlier. Why? You guys maybe have an answer, but I have no idea. You're there to pick them up and bring them home or go wherever. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, anything you want to add? All right, I'm going to turn it over to David McCarty. You may have a seat and try to figure out this condition.
So if there's nothing else, I think I've got a way to word this. Can you scroll down a little bit, Suzanne, to the section 1? Yeah, and then it'll be the number 1, and then down to the next ones when I get going here. So I would recommend that, with regard to the motion made and seconded, that the second and the motion be withdrawn and a new motion be made. And that motion would be as follows. A motion to reduce and consolidate the public hearing application fee for School District 15 to the sum of $950 total, and approve the proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit as proposed, subject to the following edits. Number 1 remains as is. Number 2 would read as follows: that the school district shall provide district-owned gated access to the parking lot near Grove Avenue that shall be open at student morning drop-offs and afternoon pickups, and closed after morning drop-offs and afternoon pickup, as well as on weekends and
during the day. Any other time, really.
And weekends, any other time, including weekends. That's number 2. Number 3 is as is. Number 4 would be the school district shall provide a guardrail, and the rest of it would remain the same. Number 5 would read as is, and add the provision that along with that a right of that a easement be reserved in the same document that vacates the right of way, that an easement be reserved in favor of the city to access the gate and its lift station on the adjacent to the school property or on the school property. I think that captured everything that was discussed. I would suggest the second be withdrawn, and the first withdrawn, and that motion be made.
Okay. Withdraw your motion. Alderman Miller? Your second.
As the maker of the motion, I'll withdraw my motion.
You, second?
And I'll withdraw the second.
Okay. At this time, I am looking for a motion for 6G as stated by David McCardle. Alderman Miller?
I will make the motion that David McCardle just read.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Santee?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. All right, discussion by City Council. Open up for the public. Any last comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
No.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
No.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
That item has passed. Next on the agenda is 6G, is the middle school track and field conditional use permit. Looking for a motion to waive a public hearing application fee for School District 15 and approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for McHenry Middle School to allow a recreational track and field at 2120 West Lincoln Road.
Was this on the same night?
Ross? Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So District 15, once again, is the applicant. They are requesting a conditional use permit to add a track and a ball field, recreational ball field, to the McHenry Middle School property. They were also requesting an expansion of the parking lot for 54 new spaces to accommodate any more traffic that facility would create. This one is pretty simple. The questions at planning and zoning were there was one resident that came out concerned about lighting and noise. Those items were addressed. We added the condition that they can use temporary bleachers on the site during events. So with that, I don't have anything further. And again, the applicant is here for your questions.
Thank you, Ross. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve 6G as presented. Alderman McClatchy?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Davis?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council? Alderman Bassi?
Just a real quick question. I was actually visiting with the resident that was there for the meeting. And their question is real simple. Are they going to be able to use the track field when it's not in use? I told them I would ask this.
We're going to do our best to make it accessible for all community members, but at first we want to limit the use of the track. There's a shelf life on every track, so the more you use it, the faster you got to replace it. So we want to make sure that we're being good stewards of good partners with the community. So yes, we do want it to be a community event. We want there to be lacrosse there. We want there to be football there. But we also just want to make sure that we're doing right by the investment that we're putting in.
Okay, thank you. And then the lights will not, if you have additional lights, they will not be angled at all.
There are no plans putting lights in.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you so much.
If I could just, on that note, they would need to come back before City Council if they wanted to install lights. That would be an addition to their conditional use.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions? Open it up for public comment. See none? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
No.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 6H, Riverwood Bus Lane Conditional Use Permit. A motion to waive the public hearing application fee for School District 15 and approve an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for Riverwood Elementary School to allow an expansion of the parking lot and add a new bus lane for the property located at 300 South Driftwood Trail. I probably just said everything that Ross is going to say, but Ross, do you want to present this?
That is correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Perfect. Go ahead if you have something else to add.
Okay, so again, District 15 is the applicant. What they're proposing tonight is an addition to their current conditional use that would expand the parking lot in the rear off of Glenbrook. This would allow for stacking of buses. This is for bus pickup. Currently, bus pickup is on Driftwood in the front of the building. They're going to be moving the bus pickup to the rear off of Glenbrook, and the expansion of the parking lot will allow them to stack all of the buses on the bus property. Previously, years ago, they had bus pick up the rear where they're moving it to, and the buses had to stack on Glenbrook. That was an issue with some residents. So this expansion will allow them to stack completely on the school property for a safer environment for the children as well. So if there's any questions, the applicants are here.
Thanks, Ross. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6H as presented. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion to approve the Riverwood Riverwood Bus Lane conditional use permit as presented.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Miller.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council on this item. Alderman Bassi.
I visited with those residents also, and they don't have an issue with it at all, except they're concerned about drainage and possibly flooding anything into their basements. So I told them I would come and say this to you, that they are concerned, so please do right by them.
Sure, go ahead.
There currently is a stormwater inlet in the area where we are expanding the parking lot. So our drainage has all been directed to that storm sewer. We'll then go underground and then directly to the southeast of that parking lot expansion. At the back of Riverwoods, there's a detention basin that outlets at the very far southeast corner. All this water will continue to be directed to that detention basin and will not leave the property outside of that basin limit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions by City Council? See none. Open it up for public comment. See none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
No.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassi?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Thank you to all of you for coming. Appreciate the partnership. Next item on the agenda is 6I, Public Works Director Recruitment Agreement. I'm looking for a motion to approve a master services agreement with MGT Impact Solutions LLC for the recruitment of a Public Works Director. City Administrator Suzanne Ostrowski, do you have anything to add to this?
As the council is aware, we are in the market for a new public works director, and so this is MGT recently purchased GovHR, which you may remember from the recruitment by position. I think they did a pretty good job, hopefully. So hopefully everyone agrees, and so we're going to be going back to them for their assistance to make sure that we can get the best possible candidate for public works.
So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 6I as presented.
Could you just add to that a condition of my review? Because Suzanne and I went over some possible negotiation points just from a procedural standpoint.
Okay, so we would add a condition that David McCardle will look over the contract. All right, Alderman Miller?
I'll make that motion to approve a master service agreement with MGT Impact Solutions for the recruitment of a public works director not to exceed $24,000, subject to City Attorney McCardle's review.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Santee.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by City Council? Alderman Miller?
Having participated with GovHR for the recruitment of our city administrator, the experience was amazing. They were able to really expand the search area. We had, if I remember correctly, 64 applicants from completely across the country that we whittled down through that process. But the experience was far greater than I expected it to be with just, I hate to call them headhunters, but this is what they do, and they know who's moving and who's ready, and it's a skill that we don't have internally. So I think having a professional recruitment agency doing this will bring us the best talent we have.
Thank you. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
I know there's not any time frame on something like this.
Oh, what did they? Yeah. We told them we weren't in a rush, that we wanted to get the right person. So obviously Russ is going to fill that void in the meantime, and he's been doing a great job at it. But in my opinion, let's not rush into it. And let's take our time to find the right candidate.
I agree.
I'd just like to add that this is for full scope recruitment services. So MGT will assist us in assuring that the job description and the advertising is all what it needs to be. They do a brochure for us. This is a very thorough process. They vet the candidates on the front end as well as on the back end. They do all of the background checks and financials and all of that. So this is a very comprehensive set of services that they are providing to the city. And so that will take some time, but as the mayor said, Russ is doing a great job in the interim, so we appreciate his patience and service.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, if they do half the job they did when we hired our city administrator, they covered all the bases. They did a good job. So I'm looking forward to that and looking for the interviews and pick our new public works director.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Alderman Bessie?
I think this is something that we should be doing in-house. We should be writing the job description and doing the recruiting in-house.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
So, the condition is that Attorney McArdle has to review the contract. I missed that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He would just have to look over the contract, make sure we're good before we sign it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, modify it. Any other questions, comments by council? See none? Open up for public comment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassie?
No.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you, council. All right, so we'll get on that process and get that started. Any discussion items? No. Staff reports? Any staff reports? Suzanne, you got something?
Yep. As council is aware, we've had a lot of discussion around trying to find a date for a development conversation for the city council to have. We met today as staff, and subsequent to that spoke with the mayor and also Alderman Glab, who had initially requested that meeting. We are of the opinion that probably now is not the best time to have this discussion about development. What with the election coming up and potentially at least one new council member coming on board in May, we don't want to have you all sit through that conversation twice. We also have the parking study that the City Council recently approved that will be beginning. As Council is aware, all of the conversations related to downtown development ultimately come back to that parking question. And until we have some additional information on the parking, it feels that a conversation about downtown development would be premature. And so I just wanted to make the council aware of those conversations and see if there was any feedback that the council wanted to provide on that idea.
Everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. That being said, that meeting on the 18th, our next city council meeting, staff's intention at that point then would be to bring forward a conversation related to upcoming TIF district conversations. As we have telegraphed to the council, staff would like to discuss the idea of adding 2 additional TIF districts in various areas of town, moving those development conversations a little bit away from downtown for now and looking more at those outlying areas of the community. So that would be the conversation we would anticipate having on the 18th. We have cleared most of the rest of the agenda, so we'll plan to do that just as a discussion item. So we'll not meet at 5:30. It'll be a normal 7 p.m. meeting.
All right. Ross, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that about the downtown parking discussion. Council remembers you did authorize us to continue to move forward with the environmental, particularly at the Green and Elm site. So I did just hear back from IDOT today where they've approved a permit for us to do some additional drilling in the IDOT right away abutting those properties. So that's good news. We'll be able to move forward with that because ultimately, that would hold us up right now if we did have a developer. We need to get that NFR letter from the IEPA. So good news is we're moving forward on that as well. So.
And to add to that point, the wastewater treatment site, we do still have quite a bit of environmental remediation that will need to be done out there. And so that work will be ongoing as well. So to Ross's point, we're not quite ready to do some development in downtown anyway. So moving the focus to those outlying areas is probably an efficient use of the council's time.
All right. Mayor's report, State of the City. I didn't even write the date down, the 20th, through the Chamber of Commerce, so I'll be giving the state of the city. I believe Monty sent out an email, so if you plan on attending, please get back to Monty ASAP so we can make sure we have a spot. And that's all I have this evening. City Council comments? None?
Oh, you know what?
Oh, go ahead.
You know what, I just want to do a shout out to Chief and the Police Department. Your polar plunge really worked out pretty good. I wish I knew about it. I would have joined you.
Oh, jeez. All right, the next item on the agenda is an executive session, so I'd ask that the public please exit the room. When we come back, we will be just adjourning the meeting, so we'll have no public meeting after we come out of executive session. Thank you all for coming. Nice seeing you, Chad.
See you, Chad.
Yeah. At this time, I'm going into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employee, 5 ILCS 122C1. Looking for a motion to enter executive session. Alderman Santee? Thank you. Second? Alderman Cook?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderman Glad? Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Davis?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?